this story about Iran is so outrageous and stupid, and for some reason, people still believed it and shared it nonetheless. So basically, there was a rumor online that the Iranian government was going to execute 15,000 protesters. 15,000. And people believe this. You know, you had actresses and actors sharing this. I think Sophie Turner, the one from Game of Thrones, she was sharing it. Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, he even tweeted this out and then deleted it, right? So he said that Canada denounces the Iranian regime's barbaric decision to impose the death penalty on nearly 15,000 protesters. These brave Iranians were fighting for their human rights, and we continue to stand united in support of them and united against the regime's heinous actions. All right. Before I continue, anybody who says regime about, you know, countries that are not open to Western banks and corporations, you shouldn't listen to them. But Trudeau deleted this tweet, and I just want you to think for a second about how ridiculous and childish that is. This guy is the Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister. He's not some, you know, junior employee. He's not some random citizen. He's not a shit poster. He's the Prime Minister. He is the occupant of the office of the Prime Minister of Canada, and he accuses another country of committing a massacre, and instead of apologizing, he deletes the tweet like some child. I mean, what is this? Look, man, you can't do this stuff. You want to talk, then you got to talk both ways. When you're saying the stuff and apologizing too. You're the Prime Minister. Why do I have to explain this? So obviously this turned out to be nonsense, because I mean, just the figure alone tells you that this is nonsense. How are they going to kill 15,000 protesters? They haven't even arrested 15,000 people. Were they just going to like randomly grab people off the street, or like government employees are going to like suicide all of a sudden to get the quota filled? Like, they haven't even gotten 15,000 people arrested. Look, I'll show you. This is from, like even CNN called this out as rubbish. Man, when CNN are fact checking you and they're right, they're actually right for once, that is really bad. Then it's really bad. Let me go through this article with you from Al Jazeera, okay? The title was that fact check, has Iran sentenced 15,000 protesters to death? No, they haven't. This was first reported by Newsweek, and it was so widespread that Trudeau shared it as well. I read you the tweet. And later, Trudeau deleted the tweet, as we said, and Newsweek corrected its story. Is the figure real? No. While thousands have been arrested in Iran and some have been sentenced to death, the numbers are nowhere near the 15,000 reported. So the number of people sentenced to death was 1 until yesterday. I think now it's 5 in total. 5, not 15,000. The 15,000 figure is the number of people believed to have been arrested, according to overseas-based human rights and media organizations. Okay? And those same sources say that more than 350 protesters have been killed. Now, I just to put this in context, you know when you had the George Floyd protests in the United States? Because I looked this up just now, and I have it for you from the Washington Post. It's the same number, just like in Iran. So they're saying around 15,000 have been arrested in Iran. In the United States, it was the same figure. This is from the Washington Post. Officials have arrested more than 14,000 people across 49 cities nationwide in the United States since May 27th, according to a Washington Post tally of data provided by police departments and included in media reports. Thousands were arrested for low-level offenses, including curfew violations and failure to disperse. Just to be clear, the figure from Iran I don't know if this is where they got that figure from, like Al Jazeera suggesting, but it sounds like it. Some idiot, I suppose, or maybe they did it on purpose, confused the two. They thought, 15,000 people are arrested means 15,000 killed. No. There's another thing. There's a letter. Okay, so I'll read this from Al Jazeera. They're saying the news of the executions appears to have stemmed from a statement signed by 227 of Iran's 290 parliamentarians that said people engaging in muharibeh, so waging war against God, should be dealt with decisively with a response that would teach an example. Again, this is not a law. It's a letter that they signed, and people interpreted that letter to mean that they're going to kill anyone who is charged with not even, because again, they're not even saying people charged with a crime. They're saying no, Iran is going to kill everybody, all of the protesters. I mean, it's just false. I don't know why. I'm speechless. Like, I just, this is so stupid. I don't know why anyone could misconstrue this unless they did it on purpose. So the statement was criticized online, and some lawmakers tried to clarify their position by saying that they did not mean that all protesters should be executed. So there was another letter, a document that began circulating online that purportedly showed the names of 227 lawmakers on a letter that called on the judiciary to treat all of those arrested in the protests as people engaging in muharibah. So basically, urging the judiciary to kill them. But this letter was fake. The letter was fake. The list of lawmakers was old. There are people on the list who weren't even in parliament anymore. One of them is now the president's minister of economy. Okay, so this misconception that, well, Iran's dictatorship and, it's only the clergy, it's the mullahs who control everything, and it's completely undemocratic and barbaric, and, all sorts of racist, orientalist tropes that they have, and ignorant tropes. And, when you say that, you're basically saying, well, there is complete, concentration of power in one area, and all other branches of government are irrelevant. Okay, so if what they're saying is true, that Iran is a dictatorship and it's undemocratic, then why the hell would you care what the judiciary says or what these lawmakers say? So now all of a sudden, the lawmakers actually count. Oh, wow, the judiciary actually counts. Do you see the contradiction here? When it suits them, they say, this country is authoritarian and it's a dictatorship. And then when it suits them, they start actually caring about the branches of government, which by the way, in the Iranian constitution, they're separate and independent. So, in case you still don't understand. So here's another thing that they're not showing you, because they'll tell you that all these people have been arrested, all these people have been killed. Just today, I can't show you the video because it was too barbaric and brutal. But they killed several. I don't know who they are. They were vigilantes, I suppose, or I'm not saying all the people protesting, but today there were a few policemen who were killed, and the people who did it filmed it and posted it online. And I'm just trying to understand what this has to do with women's rights, because I'm pretty sure the women in Iran or the people that are protesting, the majority of them don't support this, right? Because when you go and you murder someone and film it and post it online, that's sick. That's sick. And you have some people who are doing that, and it's similar to what you had in Syria. They're coming in and kind of hijacking the unrest. They're hijacking the energy of the people, and then they're using it to do something else. And so now it doesn't become about, we want some reforms. Now it becomes about, let's actually murder anyone who's working, whether it's a policeman, someone in the clergy. Let's just go after them and let's get rid of the government. And this is a new dimension, right? Those are not the same things. Those are not the same things at all. And I'm just... It's weird because they don't tell you any of this on BBC or any of these mainstream channels when they talk about Iran. Like, if you should say both sides, right? You should say X amount of protesters have been arrested, 15,000 approximately. This amount of people have died. They're saying it's around 300. Again, I don't know if that's true. But you should also say this number of police have been killed, right? And the interesting thing here is that you can actually prove the latter. I actually saw the videos. There are actual videos, video evidence of police being murdered. And the people doing this are filming it and posting it online gleefully. But when you come and you tell me, the Iranian government is going to kill 15,000 people, there is no proof for this. It's a fucking lie. And then they go and make up other lies that you can't verify. So, if anything, the only thing that they accomplished with this stupid campaign is they've actually proven that there is a propaganda war against Iran. And, if they're concerned about people believing the government, well, you just shot yourself in the foot, because now people actually have more evidence not to believe the lies against Iran, right? Because when you spread things as ridiculous as this, and the Canadian Prime Minister is doing it as well, what credibility do you have left, man? And you just quietly delete it? You don't even apologize? Nothing? That's scandalous. Honestly, that's just scandalous. so these are two, this is Professor Marandiu posted this, okay? These are two guys who were in Mashhad who were killed today. This policeman was killed today, stabbed to death. And again, the video that I saw, I'm not going to show it to you because it's too barbaric. It's too much. And I'm getting a lot of similar vibes to what happened in Syria. You know, they would say the government did this. This was just a peaceful protest. And then they don't tell you that actually there were people shooting at the police in this protest. And again, it doesn't mean like, oh, the government's perfect and they're saints and they're angels and they never hurt anyone. No, it doesn't mean that. But tell both sides of the story. Paint a full picture. Don't tell one side and omit the other side. This is a clip. This is John Bolton. Okay, you remember John Bolton, neoconservative skeleton. Look at what he had to say about what's happening in Iran. So just to be clear, he was speaking to BBC Farsi, BBC Persian, but there are subtitles in English, okay?
اپوزیسیون ایران حالا داره مسلح میشه با اسلحه هایی که از پایگاه های بسیج گرفته، با اسلحه هایی که از نقاط کردستان عراق داره وارد ایران میشه. برای همین فکر میکنم که چشمانداز یک تلاش سیستماتیک اپوزیسیون نه فقط اعتراض بلکه بکارگیری زور و قوه قهریه علیه حکومت با این پیام که ما دیگه غیر مسلح نیستیم.
I don't know what he's implying there. If it's the U.S. giving them weapons, I think he was just kind of, you know, showing off. He's saying, look, man, these guys, they're armed now and they're a real force to be reckoned with. John Bolton is like that. You know, he doesn't shy away from his beliefs. He's very direct and he says what he, well, I mean, I'm not saying he's not a liar. He definitely likes to lie, but, he's very gleeful about his neoconservative ambitions. I remember that he said once that the Iranian revolution won't last past its 40th birthday. It did. So, you know, he from the beginning, this guy, he hates Iran because it broke away from Western influence. You know, they used to have a king, the Shah, who was, you know, an American-British puppet, literally installed by MI6 and CIA. So, you know, ever since 79, since the revolution, they've had it in for Iran. And he's one of those people, right? He's been leading that charge against all the quote-unquote evil countries, right? Of which Iran is, of course, a member. You know, the damage is done, though. It's very unfortunate because you have so many people posting this crap online about, 15,000 people. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who believes this? Apparently, a lot of people believe it. And I think it confirms, no pun intended, but it is a confirmation of their bias. You know why? Because you can say anything, and they've been conditioned so much to hate Iran, they will just believe it, you know? And this goes for North Korea, it goes for Syria. You know, these countries have been demonized by the Western press for decades and decades and decades. And there are various reasons why. Some of them have to do with resources. It's also political. It's very intricate, right? And each country is its own kind of has its own kind of path and history with the United States and tension with the United States. But at the end of the day, there's a common demonization. You'll often hear in movies even, right? Not just the media, but in entertainment, they'll make fun of the North Koreans, right? They'll say, oh, those people are brainwashed. They worship the supreme leader. Oh, they're so stupid. Oh, there's no freedom in that country. Oh, they're so backwards. They don't tell you that the United States killed 20% of the population. 20% of the population. No wonder they hate your fucking guts. If someone murdered 20% of the American population, you would fucking nuke them. You would drop nukes on them. So don't be surprised that the Koreans have nuclear weapons, because you fucked them and they're not going to let you do that again. You understand? So, you know, they leave that part out, and they leave out the coup in Iran. They don't tell you that part. And they make it look like, oh, these people are just crazy. They hate us because of our freedom. We are so special, and they're just so backwards. And yeah, okay, whatever. So just be careful with what's happening in Iran, because yes, you have people who, and I'm sure this is for the vast majority, who are not violent, who don't want to see stuff like this happening, who don't want foreign influence. But unfortunately, the most powerful actors are sometimes the among the smallest, right? You know, if you look at what happened in Syria, ISIS, and all their similar groups, you know, Al-Qaeda, and which is now HTS, they're small in numbers. They're not as big as some of the other groups, right? And they fluctuate over time. but they were still the most powerful, right? So what I'm trying to say is that in Iran, even though the malicious outside actors, they're enacting their agenda in Iran, it doesn't mean that, the rest of the people actually want that. I'm pretty sure most people, whatever their views are, don't want to see, people being murdered and then a video of that posted online. That's just barbaric. And keep in mind, the MEK, which is an opposition group, an Iranian opposition group that have been there sort of, around the time of the revolution. They didn't get a seat at the table, let's put it that way. And so they've been outside of Iran. They were in Iraq for a while, and then they were in France, and then they moved to Albania now, right? So the leader of this group, so what's her name again? Maryam Rojava, I think. She was meeting with the Israeli ambassador. Yeah, Maryam Rajavi. So she was meeting with the Israeli ambassador to Albania last month. Why do you think? And Mike Pompeo has spoken before at their conference, right? At the MEK, they have like an annual gathering. That's her, right? So she's the head of this Iranian opposition group, and she was meeting with the Israeli ambassador last month. Mike Pompeo has spoken at her annual shingdings, or whatever you want to call it. And I think John Bolton before, I'm not sure, but he supports them, right? And it's funny because the United States, they used to classify them as terrorists, and then they changed their opinion. It depends on the menu of the day. Like, who do we hate today? Oh, it's that. Okay, these guys are cool. They'll help us take them down. So just be aware. Just be aware. There are outside influences and collaborating with people on the inside, right? If it's nothing new. You always have a few fringe groups on the inside ready to help. And they're hijacking this and turning it to something evil. And please don't fall for garbage like this. Trudeau should know better. This is just embarrassing. I don't think even Biden posted something like this, because it's so ridiculous. It's just so obviously fake.